Good morning. I'm glad you're here. We're expecting a few more, but they're late. We're going to start with Adam because I don't want to hold you guys up. My name is Goss. I'm a seniors real estate specialist working with the Metro Brokers. Our office is right down the street on Tejon. And before I get started, I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about me because this is mainly for you, but I will tell you that I was a teacher in the Academy District for 15 years, and I'm still a teacher, and you're my class today. So I'm hoping I don't have to send anybody to the principal's office. So I'm sure you'll all be pretty good. I'm going to pull out my notes. I had a couple questions to start with. One is, I'm wondering how long people have lived in your home. Anybody lived in their home 30 years or more? How about more than 40? Okay, in the 30s, excellent. That's a long time to be in a house. A lot has changed since then. Another question I've got is, why are you thinking of moving? Why is this a good time to move on to your next step?
As I grow older, it becomes harder and harder to keep up with all the maintenance on the house.
That's a big one. I'll give you a few ideas. People move to get closer to grandkids. People move to get rid of stairs because their knees are bothering. People move because they want to come to a nice community like this and make new friends and have new activities. Some people just want to downsize because they've got 2,000 square feet that they're keeping up but they don't need anymore. So there's lots of good reasons to move. Let's see, I've been here since 1983. I got my master's at CC in teaching, and then I went and taught in the Academy School District for 15 years. In 2016, I helped my mom move out of her home that she'd been in for 48 years in Denver. And she's moved into this building, and she's got new friends now and activities, and it's really worked out well for her. Last year, 2/3 of my clients were either from the boomer generation or the greatest generation, and 1/3 were millennials who were buying their first home. So I've got the entire range out there. The first thing I wanted to talk to you before I get into some details about what's actually involved is the emotions involved. This is such a big thing, and I don't want to overlook it or let you have anybody else tell you, oh, don't worry about anything. Emotions are going to be huge. You're probably already feeling some if you're thinking about this. You might be intimidated by how much is going to be required and how big the job is. You might just be afraid of all this stuff. You realize you don't know it all, and that might be a different experience for you as well, because you're probably used to being pretty comfortable with your life, and now you're getting into this new transition where you don't know it all, and that can be petrifying for some. Change is always difficult, whether it's when you got married or when you lost a spouse or when you moved or when you got a new job or lost a job. Every time something changes can be difficult. So what I'm going to suggest for you today, instead of thinking about all the stuff that you're giving up, all the things you're losing, all the memories that you're going to be leaving behind, is concentrate on why you're going. What's going to be the benefit? You're going to have, your knees are going to quit complaining because you got rid of the stairs. Or you've got 2,000 square feet less that you don't have to deal with anymore. Or you're close to the grandkids and you get to see them twice or 3 times a month instead of once a year when they come to visit. Or you're going to move into a place like this and you're going to have new friends and activities, and people will wait out your hand and foot pretty much. It's pretty nice. So as you're going through your thinking about moving in the actual moving process, I want you to concentrate on the goal. What's the good end result that's going to be fabulous for you? And that will help you get through all the details that you're going to have to go through. I've got a lot of people that I rely on, as I call them my team, and there's a sheet in there of lots of different people that I can help bring to you. You might not only need 2 or 3 or 4 of these. I think there's 35 on there or something. You won't even know what some of these are. But this is available, so you don't have to go out and find people. You can call me and I can help you with a lot of things. And some of these we'll go through. You might be interested to know that there are people who specialize in moving seniors. That's their business, that's what they do. So that's an interesting thing that I wasn't aware of a few years ago. That people know how to deal with older people and their precious commodities and everything, and they do a really good job with that. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is start to right size, start to downsize, start to move things out and get ready for them to move. And what I would suggest is you start now, and start with easy stuff. If you look in your closet and you see, oh, I've got 4 or 8 outfits in here I haven't worn in years, pull them out, set them aside for Goodwill or ARC or something like that. That'll be something you don't have to move, and it'll be easy, you don't have to think about it much. When you're starting to put stuff into boxes, this will be either to help you organize, so if you're going to have stuff for an estate sale, or if you're going to be giving stuff to Goodwill, or if you're going to be moving stuff, you've already got it in boxes and out of the way. The main goal you have for this process of decluttering is to make it look like a nice Hilton hotel. When you walk into a hotel, there's pictures on the wall, but if it's a Hilton hotel, you don't see the Hilton kids at the Bahamas. You don't see anything personal, but there's nice, attractive things, neutral colors. There's furniture in there, but it's not so crowded you can't move in. So the main thing you want to do is think about leaving space for somebody to walk into your home and say, yes, I can see myself here, and a dining room table will fit here, and so on. If you've got a small living room and it's filled with an overstuffed sofa, overstuffed chairs, additional chairs, tables, bookshelves, people walk in and they go, wow, I can't see myself moving into this. It's hard to visualize. So you want to help them with that and let them see where they can fit in. So that's one thing. And then you've already got a lot of stuff in boxes ready for the next stage where those things are going to go. And there are actually decluttering specialists. They're on that list also. They can help you. Once you get through the easy stuff and you get down to the stuff that really grabs your heartstrings and you don't know what to do with it, they can help you make those decisions. That's what they do. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And one of the things that I suggest you do is depersonalize. So that somebody comes in, and if you've got 50 pictures up the hallway like my sister does, up the stairway, that's fine when you're living there, but those should all be gone. Let somebody else figure, oh, this is where I can put my pictures. They're really, you love your family and you love your home, but you're selling a home that you've turned it into in over 30 years. Somebody else is buying a house. It's not their home yet. You want to let them visualize how it's going to be, and after several years it will be their home, but right now it's just going to be one of the choices they're looking at for possibly moving in. So taking down personal pictures, taking down religious objects, taking down political objects. You don't know who's going to be walking in, and you don't want to turn them off by, if you've got stuff for the blues up, all the reds are going to say, I don't like this. If you've got stuff for the reds, the blues aren't going to like it. You don't want to turn off half your population by what you have on your walls. All the personalized stuff should be put away, boxed up, and then you've got it ready to move. It's out of the way, it doesn't show. So that's a suggestion for you there. There's several ways that you can sell a home. The first one is just as is. Just, I'm done, I can't deal with it. If you've had the people from the Hoarders reality show come and knock on your door because they know that you've got pathways through all the stuff that you've littered your floor with and you can't deal with it, an investor will buy it and you don't have to do a thing. It will be the fastest, they'll pay cash, but you'll get the least amount of money. I don't recommend that. What most people do is they just, after they've got most of the personal stuff out of there, they've got some room made by moving furniture out. And in fact, when we moved 29 years ago, we moved a bunch of our furniture into a storeroom, a storage room. unit. And that just opened up the place so people could see that it makes things look bigger, for one thing. So getting things out, and then deep cleaning. You've got to bring in like professional carpet cleaners. If you've got wood floors, have them professionally polished. I would suggest hiring somebody to do your windows for you. Because the windows, you want everything light and bright, you want your curtains open, you want people to be able to see out and see your yard, you want to have the light coming in, and you just want it to look spectacular. Just like a show home. If you go to see a model home somewhere, everything's immaculate. So you might bring in a professional cleaner after all this is done as well. Have them do all your dusting and stuff for you. So that's really important. You might have somebody look at the landscaping. If you sell in the spring, you might put out some fresh flowers. You might redo the bark. You might have somebody finally get that broken tree branch you've been thinking about down, that kind of stuff. You want to do minor repairs. So if you've got something that's dripping, fix that. If you've got something that's, you know, annoying to you, but you've lived with it, get it fixed ahead of time if it's a minor thing. I'd suggest doing that. And then you might think about a coat of paint. It's amazing what a coat of brand new paint will make for you. And it will make the place pop. You get a nice neutral color. You cover up your teenage son's black room and the pink girl's room and make them all, you know, nice neutral colors. You don't have to do that, but that's something to think about. If the carpet is way beyond the last cleaning, you might think about a new carpet. That makes it pop too. Otherwise, people are going to come in and say, well, I really like this house, but it's got a lot of work. I'm going to have to paint, I'm going to have to carpet, I want to do this kind of stuff. So if you can anticipate some of those things, that would be a good thing, because you're trying to help these people coming into your house want to buy your house, your home, and turn it into their house. And that's what most people do. So they clean, they depersonalize, they make it look beautiful. And then the last thing that some people think about doing is doing a major upgrade. So they'll put in the hardwood floors, they'll put in the new kitchens and baths, they'll get everything repainted, they'll spend tens of thousands of dollars and take a lot of time to do it. And that will get you the most amount of money, but it may not be much more than what you put into it. And it'll take a long time. And then you're just guessing what the next person's going to like. You could do all this work and somebody will come in, boy, I don't like this carpet they put in, you know, the paint color's not mine, that kind of stuff. So I don't recommend that. Some people want to do that. My sister wanted to do that, and we talked to her about that. So I think that was a good thing. Okay. My sister's not here, the one I'm talking about. So, oh, she knows about it. We've been down this road together. So now I want to get into how you actually physically get your house ready for sale. And most people choose a realtor to do this. Last year, 7% of people sold their home on their own for sale by owner. Some people start as for sale by owner, they do it a couple weeks or a month and say, this isn't working, it's too much work for me, I'm not interested in following through on this. So they're going to get an agent. So interestingly, 70% of the people who choose an agent only talk to one. So either they knew somebody, it was a friend, it was their brother-in-law, or they interviewed somebody and it was really comfortable. So 70% just pick one. Whoa, come on. So after you interview as many as you feel comfortable with, and I think you should feel a good bond with them as well. You'll want them to be professional. There's two things that they're going to need to do for you. One is work out the price. What is the market going to sell your house for in the condition it's in? And how long is it going to take? And so you will eventually sign what's called a listing agreement. This is the first of many paperworks I'm going to talk to you about. So the listing agreement is it's a binding contract between you and the agent, and it's generally for 6 months. And so if we were signing you up today, we'd put it to like June 30th. I don't go to like July 17th, but just an end date like that. And then you're locked in. Now, for me, I've got what's called an easy exit listing. That means if we sign up this week and next week you decide, you know, I think I'm going to move next year, or I'm going to rent, or you're not the right guy for me, I'm going to go with a different agent. Just give me a call and you're done. And you don't have to worry about being locked into a contract. You've got enough stress in your life moving that you don't need worrying about a contract with me to be an addition. So then you're going to have some time before the people start walking through your house to finish up all this cleaning, decluttering, depersonalizing, repairing, staging. I've got a sheet in there on staging your home with 10 suggestions. We've been through some of them already. I also have a stager that I can bring if you want some professional help on that, beyond what's on the front and back of this sheet. Once that's all done and it's beautiful, it's ready for people, then it's time to take photographs. People like to look at a lot of photographs. If you've started looking for a home or started looking at what your neighbors are selling for, the first thing everybody does is they look at the photos. And they want to see more photos. So if you can get 36 in there, do that. It's better than 12. If you want to take them with your iPhone, go ahead. I happen to be a professional landscape photographer. I've got a studio in a mountain town that sells my work, but I'm not a real estate photographer. I will pay for a photographer for you to come in and do it right. It's amazing the difference that those pictures will make. And keep in mind, the people who are buying your house are like 33 years old, and everything's on their phone, and they're going through like this, and they're just flipping through. And you want to stop them with eye-popping photographs. So professional photography is what I recommend. It makes a big difference. Then there's some paperwork, additional paperwork you need to fill out before it can go on the multiple listing service, which is we initialize as the MLS, which is where all the realtors see their stuff. This is where everything goes, and then it goes from there to other websites as well. But before you can get it on there, you have to fill out a couple of pieces of paper that the buyers need before you can even show them a house. The first one is a lead-based paint disclosure. If your home was built before 1979, you have to fill this form out. You can check off, I have no knowledge of lead-based paint, or I know there's lead-based paint, and here's what I know. Most people say, I have no idea, and that's fine. It's a paperwork you have to fill out. The other one is called a property disclosure form, and this is one that you have to fill out by yourself. You can't have your agent do this for you. And it's an 8-page checklist, and it starts with the foundation and the roof and the plumbing and the electrical, and did you ever have water in your basement? What's the age of the roof? What's the material of the roof? Some of these things you might have to do some research and look up. And it's all based on what you know the day you fill it out. So you don't have to, you can leave a lot of it blank is what I'm saying, if you have no idea. But if you know that, yeah, 15 years ago I had a flood in the basement, and we put French drains in and we solved the problem, don't think that it's a good idea to leave that out. Somebody will find out and then you'll be in trouble for it. Well, I wouldn't call it fraud quite, but you want to make sure that you're honest and upfront. Let people know we had this problem and it's been fixed or it hasn't been fixed. Then once it goes listing, during that time, you'll probably get a sign in your yard. And then your neighbors will know for sure you're talking. You'll probably say coming soon. It won't be on the MLS yet. It won't be out for the general public. It'll only be for the neighbors, pretty much. But this is the time where you're getting things cleaned up and fixed up and photographs done. When the photographs are done, then it goes on all the websites. And then you might consider, do I want to have an open house? Yes or no? I'll just tell you that about 1% of the sales are done at an open house. Don't do an open house thinking somebody's going to come in and sell it. I still think they're a good idea because you get, well, all the neighbors want to come in anyway and see it. So you know you're going to get a bunch of neighbors in there, and that's fine. But they might have a daughter in Texas who wants to move and thinks your neighborhood's fabulous. So it's word of mouth. So you get a lot of people through there, and they're looking at a bunch of different houses if they're serious buyers. But they might know somebody else who would be a good candidate as well. And you'll need to be gone for the open house. You don't want to be there when other people are coming. So when showings start coming in, they'll give you some time, and you can say, don't come during these times, don't come on this day. You can kind of regulate it to a certain extent, but you do want a bunch of people in there. And so they'll say, we've got a showing coming in from 1 to 2 and another one from 2 to 3. You'll just need to be gone during that time. Now for your security, I and a lot of other realtors use what's called a it's an electronic lockbox. So it's not when you push in the numbers and anybody can get that code and put it in. The electronic lockboxes that we have are operated by the agent's phone. They just come up and they put it next to it, and it talks to it, and it opens up and drops the key open so they can get in. The good thing about that is then we know who the agent was, we know when they came in, we know when they locked up. So if there's any problems during any showings, we know about it. I don't hear much about that, but you don't want to let somebody, if somebody knocks on your door and says, I'm looking for a house, this looks perfect, I'm a cash buyer, can I come in and take a look? Tell them no. You don't want some stranger you don't know walking through your house and you're by yourself. This is not safe. You want to keep safety in mind. So say, please call this number on there or get an agent and come back with an agent. And close the door and lock it. Just, you know, you got to take care of yourself. So don't let anybody in who hasn't already said they're going to make an appointment come in. At some point, somebody's going to put an offer in on your house. And these days, all the offers, all the paperwork is pretty much electronic. So you're going to get an email that says, here's an offer. And it's an 18-page document. And a lot of it is legalese. And a lot of it you'll go, huh? Some of it will have blanks that this is something the buyer and their agent has filled out. And it will say, here's the price we're offering. Here's the date we want to close. Here's the date by which we want to have the inspection done. Here's when we want to have the appraisal done. There's a whole checklist there. And then the rest of it is a lot of checklists, and it's intimidating. Luckily, since I'm a teacher, one of the things I did was I went through and I made 20 short videos that goes through step by step this entire thing. So if you've got one section that you don't understand, you can just go look at that one little video and it'll explain it to you. My interpretation of it. You don't have to look at the whole thing unless you just like to do that kind of stuff. But let's see, what was I going to say about that?
Which website is that?
I'll give you the link. It's on my YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, so it's on my YouTube channel, along with other stuff too. But anyway, so you can look at that and go through. Then the other interesting thing is the signatures are done electronically. So most people don't sign these with a pen anymore. Some people, if they don't have electronic, if they don't have email, we can deal with it. But most people have email. And so when you get down to the last page and it says there's a box there for your signature. And there's 3 ways to do it. If you're on a computer, you can try and make it with your mouse, and it will look worse than your regular signature. If you're on a tablet, you can do it with your finger. But what I suggest people do is there's a little drop box. You click on it, and you have 6 choices of fonts. Just pick one. It's not going to look exactly like your handwriting. Neither will this thing you did with the mouse. It doesn't matter. It's legal and binding. And you sign that, and it will date it, and it will put it in there, and then it will get forwarded to the agent, and then they'll know that you're under contract. So that's the first thing that will be done differently probably than you're used to, is electronic signatures. Then the buyer is going to want to bring their inspector in. And so that's another time you're going to have to be out for 2 or 3 hours when the inspector comes in, because they will go through attic to basement to outside to the roof, everything. And they will go through with a fine-tooth comb, and they will give the buyer a 50 or 60-page report with photographs, reports, arrows, suggestions. Here's some safety things that you should think of. Here's some things that would be nice to fix but aren't critical. Here's some things that are in really good shape. And so then the buyer will go through with their agent and say, well, I know it's an older home, I know the floor squeak, I'm not going to have them fix the floor squeaks. But that electrical panel is 40 years out of date and it's a fire hazard. I want that replaced. So then they will fill out what's called an inspection objection. And this will be another form that you get on email. And it will be, here's what we want to do before we complete this, the sale. And we want that electrical panel done. And then you've got 3 choices. You can say, nope, I'm selling it as it is, take it or leave it, and the contract's over. If you don't agree to anything, the contract expires. Or you can say, yeah, I've known it for a long time, somebody told me about that before, I'll get that done. Or you can say, I'm not going to do it, but I will give you credit at closing. So we'll get some bids, we'll find out how much it costs, we'll take that off your sale price at closing. And then you can choose your own electrician in your own timing, and you can get that done. So those are your choices you get, and sometimes these go back and forth. So you say, I want to give you credit at closing, they say, no, I want you to do it. And they'll send that back. And so it goes back and forth, and hopefully people agree. And then the other time that you'll need to be out is during the appraisal. If the people are buying with a loan, the bank is going to want to make sure that they are covered for the amount that they've said that the buyer and the seller have agreed the house is worth. So if it says the house is selling for $300,000, we've got a buyer and a seller who agree on the price, the bank wants to make sure it makes sense to them so they're protected if something goes south. So they will bring in, the bank will hire the appraisal, and you don't have to pay for this, you don't pay for the inspection either. But you'll need to be gone, and that might be a half a day they'll come through. And they'll go through and do, it's different from an inspection, but similar in that they go through a lot of stuff, and then they will go out and find out similar houses around your neighborhood and what they've gone for. And so what we're hoping for is they'll send the report back to the bank, and they'll say, yeah, it's 301,000 or something. They always come in really close. Often they come in really close. And then you'll get a note from the agent. They'll say, the appraisal's approved. That's one hurdle passed. And then you're pretty much just on the way to closing. You'll be closing at a title company. So they'll let you know at this date and this time at this place you'll come in and you'll sign the paperwork. And then you will sign with a pen. And you'll be signing the papers that turn over the ownership to the new owners. The buyers will be the buyers will be signing their own paperwork, plus if they've got a loan, they'll be signing paperwork for the bank. So it might take an hour. And then you give them the keys, you give them your garage door openers, and then you're done. Now, if you've already moved out, you can make the time of possession that day. So if you close at 1 o'clock, they can move in that afternoon. Sometimes that happens. If you're waiting to sell the house before you move, which a lot of people do, then you say, okay, you can close on March 15th, but I'm not going to be out here till April 1st. And this is part of the contract agreement. And so you can do what's called a lease back. So then there's paperwork that you can say, okay, it's your property, but we're going to rent it back for 2 weeks, and here's the agreed upon price, and then we'll be out by this day. So that's how you get around that one. Oh, the other thing we always recommend, and not everybody does it, but we recommend anyway, is get a real estate attorney to look over the paperwork with you. Because you can look at my video, your agent will walk you through it. There's a lot of confusing things in there even so. And you don't want a divorce attorney, you don't want an accident attorney, you don't want the strong arm. You want somebody who does real estate stuff all the time, and they can go through it with you pretty quickly and answer your questions. Then, congratulations, you're on to your next house, the thing that you've been looking forward to.